Hi there, it's Jim Foronda, voice actor. You may have heard me as Claptrap in Borderlands 3 and Wonderlands. You may have heard me as Muscular in My Hero Academia, or Denny Brosh in Full Metal Alchemist, or Brosh in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and Vanderdecken in One Piece, and a whole list of other things. But right now, you can hear me on Two Dads in a Podcast. There we go. Okay, all right. I want to be able to hear you and myself at the same time because there we go.
Yeah.
That's a problem I have when gaming. The headphones I have don't have pass-through. And so,
oh, man.
Yeah, if things get a little too thrilling, it's I
get a little loud. Yeah, that's why I like Xbox because they have that built in to the system, so it automatically, no matter what headphones you use.
When do they start?
Yeah.
Is that with the One or the Series X, or when did they start?
They did it on the One and the Series.
Really?
Yeah.
Golly, I haven't played with friends on the One that much. I just because when the generation switch, most everybody I knew flipped over to the PS5. So it's like I was my One for like Forza Horizon and.
I mean, Forza Horizon and maybe Halo are pretty much the reasons to have an Xbox.
Yeah. I was really looking forward to Crackdown 3 because I was a big fan of the original Crackdown. Not so much Crackdown 2. I mean, I played through it, but back when was the original creative director was supposed to do Crackdown 3, and then it went into like development hell for a while, and they took out the cloud computing for the destruction, and then it came out completely not what
they said it was going to be.
I mean, that and the Phantom Dust remake I was really looking forward to. I still have my original Xbox copy of Phantom Dust. It's nice. A lot of the stuff I got on Xbox One for ended up either not coming out or being super disappointing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
and then they canceled some like big things too that everybody was looking forward to.
There's the dragon.
Yeah,
what was it?
I don't remember the name of it either. And then all the different Fable rumors and stuff, and
that's what I was going to get to. The whole thing about the Fable remake, and they're going to make new storylines to add on to it, and then I never got any of that shit. I never got any of it.
I have a bunch of friends on Sea of Thieves that we're going to start at some point in time. I just don't know when.
That's a pretty fun one. Now
that Wonderlands is out, people are either playing Elden Ring or Wonderlands. So
yes, I'm in the Elden Ring crew only because I don't have the extra funds to buy a copy of Tiny Tina right now.
Elden Ring, the last super hard thing I played and was able to enjoy was Ninja Gaiden on Xbox.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point where it's just there's no time to be doing the same thing over and over again, then watching the cutscene.
Well, we actually we do a YouTube series about that now, where he makes me play hard games, and I'm not very good at them.
I made him play Hades and Dark Souls 3 and some roguelites and.
Hades was fair, though. Hades
is fair, but there is definitely a learning curve.
It is, but you make progress every time you play through. It's not like, I just lost everything. I mean, there's... a game shouldn't make you go... A game should never make you think, I totally wasted my time.
I mean, but that's what we grew up with. Well,
Super Nintendo games were very unforgiving.
The original Nintendo was just...
Oh, yeah, that was so much worse.
Terrible. I remember the first thing... I first learned that the Nintendo seal of quality was not worth the paper it was printed on. This is what I learned about licensed games. Back to the Future on the NES is one of the worst things ever made.
I still have a copy of it on the shelf here from when we were playing through it. It was that we got the Link, the Batman game, and the something called Ghoul School.
I worked at a mom and pop used game store before GameStop bought everybody.
Right, as they do.
Yeah, and golly, there's so much stuff. It was, hey, free rentals. I'm just gonna take this home, bring it back, and Those were the days.
yeah,
now I'm really sounding old.
When Blockbuster started doing video game rentals, my time was
whole world was just flipped up. It was like, holy cow, wait, what?
I remember, gosh, the fondest memory of Blockbuster is getting my Pokemon Snap photos printed out.
Yes.
Yeah. It's fun.
So
go ahead.
It's just funny you mentioned that because we have an ongoing thing about Pokemon Snap because I love Pokemon Snap. And we did this whole like favorite game on a console series, and we got to N64, and he's like, oh, we both haven't said something, so let's say it at the same time. And I was like, it's not going to be the same. And he said Smash Brothers.
It should have been Smash Bros.
It should have been Pokemon Snap.
I would say Blast Core. No. Either that or Space Station Silicon Valley. Very few people talk about that game, and when they do, it's like,
no.
I
only knew one person that owned that game.
It was
growing up.
When you think, okay, so when you look at all the Grand Theft Auto games now, and there's kind of like this open gameplay of there's many different ways you can solve an issue. Yeah. And that's what that game was like. It was a space station, you're a microchip, and it's overrun with robot animals. Each robot animal has some sort of different ability. And you basically hijack the robot animals, you gain all their abilities, their method of transport and everything. And that's how you solve everything in the game. And it's
that actually sounds great. Really cool. See, I'm not familiar with it.
I don't know. I think I was busy trying to unlock Spider-Man and Tony Hawk. Around that time.
Oh, gosh.
Formally, hello.
Hello.
We just kind of jumped right in.
We are interviewing Mr. Jim. Claptrap is probably your biggest, right? Biggest known voice.
Yeah, Claptrap.
I would imagine.
Whew, that was it's still kind of weird being Claptrap. I always liken it to somebody asking you to be the next Batman or the next James Bond, because then I always look at, David is Sean Connery, right? That started the whole thing. And then Mikey is the George Lazenby because he was Claptrap for one PAX. And then that makes me the Roger Moore of Claptraps. So
that's pretty good.
We're all slightly different in how we deliver, but we're all trying to stay as true to the character as possible. And the characters have kind of evolved a little bit throughout the course of all the games. But I love him.
He's a lovable, hateable character for sure.
It's on my first day of recording because I was absolutely terrified because you don't want to screw things up because it's stepping into that role it's a huge responsibility. And so they told me, if people hate Claptrap, you did a good job. If people love Claptrap, you did a good job because he's supposed to be annoying. So
see, I'm personally in the I love Claptrap because he's so annoying.
He is. But again, as he throughout the course of the series, he evolved a little bit to there is a depth to him that it's below the surface. You have to get to it. Has the show started yet? I don't even know. I just hopped on and I had to fumble around with the
we record it and then edit things down.
All right.
So yeah, you're good. You're good. So we're recording.
None of this is making it in. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. Well, it's so weird because I'm just jumping in. So do I call you Felix and you Dad? I mean,
I call him Dad all the time. No, I have briefed his down to TD. Obviously, my real name is not Felix the Human. That's for music and stage. What type of music do you listen to?
What kind of music do I listen to? It's funny. Ever since the pandemic, I don't commute anymore. Because this is the thing that I basically slapped together in a panic when everything shut down, and it's kind of like I always thought, well, this will make do until I can buy one of those fancy pants boots. But the thing is,
right, and it's like
it works.
Yeah, it works. It works. Someday I'll get one because it's like computer fan noise is a problem. Not really a problem because you could filter it out like super easy, but still it'd be nice to.
Well, it's nice to have a space where it's like this is my workspace.
Yeah,
and I can go to work. That closet behind me, it's actually super good for recording. And it doesn't even look like the inside. It's not anything fancy. There's no soundproofing in it, but it's got all my hanging clothes. So I just spread spread them open. Boom.
Whenever I travel for the holidays to visit family, anywhere I travel, I always bring a. If I'm driving, I can bring the old Yeti that I got when I first started out. And if I'm flying anywhere, I've got a little Tascam digital recorder. And my wife and I were on a trip to Japan once, and I had it kind of tucked into the corner of all the couch cushions in this one, like the business hotel, which is a very small type of room, but they're cheap.
Yeah.
And I recorded some Smite auditions, and I landed one of them. It was one of the ones that got pulled for a copyright infringement. It was the one that was a little too close to Scorpion. That was Eliminator Ravan was that character. He was in the game, I think, for 3 days, something like that. So.
Well, see, you got to be one of the most controversial, so...
two of my favorite roles were in Smite, though. One was Shredder, and that was...
Yeah, I saw that.
That was just like, what? And then most recently, Rambo. And
nice.
That was really cool, too. Especially when the engineer told me, yeah, Stallone personally picked you. And I was like... No. Yeah, and it was kind of like, I guess I never put two and two together and thought, well, I guess if somebody's going to be him, his sound alike, then he'll probably go, that's. But that floored me. That was like one of the best things to hear ever because I don't know, I just.
Yeah, Stallone's one of those voices you hear a lot being imitated because it's so distinct.
Yeah, everybody has a Stallone.
Right.
Everybody has a Walken.
Everybody's yelled out Adrian at least once in their life.
Yeah,
know.
And that was he was not looking for that. Apparently, he wanted it to be like as close to his because there's two types of Walkens. There's and then there's the more two mice fell into a bucket of cream. It's like there's the impression and then there's the sound alike.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like how we shifted from music to this.
I don't know how we got here.
I don't know either.
My thought train derails a lot. Okay, so
you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, gosh,
we do it all the time.
Rush? Is it Rush?
No, not. But I Rush is nice, but it's like I don't really stick to one genre. It's
well, that's
kind of
good.
like
it's
that's
the way to go.
With the advent of streaming music on Spotify, it's discover this. I heard this thing in this TV commercial or out in and then you use SoundHound to find out what it is, and then you listen to it on Spotify,
right.
and then other things pop up. And the problem with that though is that like I'll hear a song and then I might not be looking at the phone and I have no idea who made it or who. Yeah.
Right.
Especially if I'm driving because you can't. So it's
and it's like, wait, how do I go back to listen to this again?
Yeah, in my playlist, there's anything from some film and anime soundtracks. When you hear a lot of the songs, and some of them are just really catchy.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
And they'll stay in there.
I'm to this day, I still follow and listen to all the new Pillows stuff just because of. Listened to or watching Fully Cooley, and I'm like, this intro is better than like most of the American rock bands that I'm listening to right now. Why the fuck am I not listening to this band?
Yeah, Runner's High is one of my favorite songs.
Now, of course, we loved everything with the seatbelts.
The seatbelts, yep.
Yeah.
And Yoko Kanno, just everything she touches is just brilliant.
It's amazing. Like she can do no wrong.
It's funny because in the early days of you can make a song your ringtone now. I used Tank for whenever my agent would call. It is still on my phone. So
nice. That was my alarm clock in the morning throughout most of high school.
The opening for my calendar notifications are the opening of Odd Future. That
oh nice.
Yeah, I love that. I love that whole sound. That was the first time I had a character have a major thing in an opening credit scene, so I was really happy.
I made him call me earlier because I just figured out
he did. He's like,
on the iPhone.
You need to call me. I was like, I'm on a Zoom call with you. What are you talking about?
I've got a phone call is here. A phone call is here. I finally figured out how to do that on an iPhone. So I just set that.
Like, I still don't know why Apple makes it so hard to put in custom ringtones. It's
I didn't realize because they have the GarageBand app free now.
Oh,
and you can export GarageBand as a ringtone, and you can import tracks to it. So it made it a heck of a lot easier once I realized that I had the ability this whole time. I just didn't know it. I didn't pay attention.
I used to work in advertising, so I spent every working day in the Mac, in the Apple ecosystem. What do they call it?
Ecosystem,
I
think.
The Apple system.
Whatever it is probably pretentious and overpriced.
And it's funny because I the first time I discovered like that really they call it the cult of Mac. And the thing about Apple that's great is that it's a closed ecosystem. If you get software for it, it's gonna work. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how that is now because I haven't really used Macs since I got laid off. But I remember a friend saying Macs don't ever crash. And I go, yeah, but they lock up. He goes, yeah, but they never crash. It's anybody who's seen the gray screen with all the different languages, or the sad Mac icon. That's a thing. That is the blue screen of death. It's just sad Mac sounds a little friendlier than blue screen of death. And that thing used to crash regularly. It's just, and it used to frustrate when Justin Long would come on TV. I'm a Mac. I do things all super cool and everything. Yeah, and you crash just as much as everything else.
Fanboys are fanboys, though.
At the mom and pop store I used to work at, that's Sega, Nintendo, and the one there's usually somebody for the TG16. It was like, can't we all just get along? Come on.
I mean, it's just like with Sony and Xbox now. It's like, are they paying you to be this devoted to their company? Like, I'm not going to be that devoted. I want to play video games. So if there's a video game I want to play, I'm going to get the system to play it on.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask, I see the manga on the shelf in the back.
Yeah.
What are you currently reading?
What am I currently reading right now? I'm not reading anything specifically. I did read ahead in Sleepy Princess because I'm really hoping there's going to be a second season of that. I literally got the first issue, the first volume after the end of the season. I haven't been reading manga as much. I did just pick up Bullet Train because I want to read the novel. I just thought, well, it just seems weird because I saw the preview and I thought bullet trains don't actually look like that, and where are all the Japanese people? It was just, it was funny because there was a review that said the trailer it looks like a white knuckle ride, and I'm like, there are a lot of white knuckles in that. It was just weird because I was doing some research on it, and it's based on a Japanese book that was translated and released here, and the main character is Japanese, and it's just one of those weird things where they thought, well, I don't know if people will relate to characters if it's in Japanese. Or that or Brad. Did you guys read World War Z?
I didn't read it. I know.
Read it. I watched the movie.
Okay. Oh my gosh, you need to read the book. It is amazing. Imagine those PBS war documentaries.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what World War Z should have been, because the entire book, the author is.
Isn't it like a collection of stories kind of thing?
The main character that kind of, from the perspective of the author, is like a UN record keeper. He's going around and trying to catalog everything that happened over the war during the zombie outbreak, which happened like 10 years previous. And you hear all of these stories, these war stories from soldiers, regular people, politicians, celebrities, that type of thing. And that would have made such an awesome documentary, like a mockumentary. That's
right.
Imagine Spinal Tap, but a war documentary about a zombie war.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things to where, like World War Z, actually, it ended up being, I think, a pretty good movie if you separate it from the story of the book. But I
know that was a lot of feedback that was coming when it first came out. Like, I want to read World War Z. I know it's by the same author who did the Zombie Survival Guide, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I have that, and I've read that entirely through, which that was just an interesting read. Like, it all made sense.
Yeah, you'll love World War Z. It's not a clunky read. I mean, you can blaze through it because you'll not want to put it down. It's that good.
No, I think producers make that mistake a lot where they assume like everybody's going to like it like this.
Yeah.
But they did that a lot in early animes where they'd have the rice balls, but they'd call it something completely.
Call it a jelly donut.
Yeah. Because we there's no way we would understand. Because
what's onigiri?
I'm like,
it's well, gosh, you had a Detective Conan. Everybody has American names, and it's just
Great show. Yeah,
I mean, that was in the early days of televised anime, and I always wonder, was that like who makes that decision? Is it, was it the licensors that wanted it to make a bigger hit, so they would
Probably.
ask, please give everything American names? Was it Cartoon Network?
There's a lot of in that early stuff, and as a kid, like watching it, I'm like, I know what a jelly donut looks like. Like, don't play me for stupid. I've seen a jelly donut. That looks like rice to me.
It's 8-bit and 16-bit box art. That's what that is. North American box art. It's Angry Kirby.
Yeah. Angry Tales, I think, was another one.
Yeah.
And they even did that with the new Sonic 2 movie. I don't know if you saw the posters for it. Tails in the overseas posters is super happy. And in the American one, he's got the angry eyes. It's like, why?
Well, they probably changed that for Japan, because they're not used to seeing, Tails being aggressive. Tails is always the cute one. So, in the game, Tails is cute, but in a full narrative, Tails is cute, but occasionally is going to get pissed off looking. So it's interesting.
I mean, either maybe she's just a sociopath that always smiles. You never know.
We'll have to try to get Colleen on here and ask.
It is so awesome. It is so awesome that she's in the movie. It's just...
I know. I was super excited about that announcement. And one thing about, the Hollywood execs and what they do and everything, the fact that they actually took fan criticism and updated the posters to include her and... who else was it? But like they included both of their names on the posters instead of just the big major.
Well, you know what? After the first movie where they had to overhaul the entire movie, I think they saw when these nerds get pissed off, they're going to affect our bottom line. So we might as well just give them whatever they want.
You know what? Watching that movie, it was a fun movie. I really liked it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I saw Detective Pikachu. So when I was a kid, I remember going to the theater to see Transformers the movie, and then Turtles, the live action Turtles.
Oh, man. Still one of my favorite iterations.
There's something about going to see something that you would never imagine would have a movie. And seeing it, and it's really cool. And when I saw Detective Pikachu and Sonic, it had that feeling of going to see Ninja Turtles, or even I remember dragging my wife to see Pokemon the first movie because I didn't want to be the one creepy adult in there. And
Did you cry? Did you cry?
I did the first time watching it.
It was just, I was like, did Ash just die?
I know.
I think I cried at the wrong moment, because I cried with the torturing of Mewtwo the first time I watched it. Was the part that upset me. I'm like, how dare you? You created this thing, and then now you're torturing it.
Well, I mean, see, that is the depth of the story. That was, I think, kind of the whole Frankenstein's monster thing was kind of I was watching a documentary, one of those, YouTube documentary about how the changes from Mewtwo Strikes Back and what's the Japanese name of the Japanese version and the English version, and how there was more of that moral ambiguity. Is Mewtwo bad? Is he good? Is he just misguided? And they kind of, I think, made that a little softer for the US version. It was interesting. I was
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess stupid Americans, we can't handle too much all at once. We need to dumb down.
I think that industry's changed though.
So we've talked a bit about manga, but what would you say is like one of your favorite animes?
Oh gosh. All right. So
there we go.
Okay, so she's on my desktop. Okay, so I fell in love with Kimono Friends. I love this show. It is the nicest, sweetest, most positive show ever. My wife and I, our last trip to Japan, it had just finished its run, and everywhere you went, because in Japan they've got music blaring from whatever like the big song or single is at the time, and the theme song for this show was everywhere. It was everywhere you went. Even like if you go to HMV or Tower, it was playing there too. And so we got home, and you get really bad jet lag on the way home. On the way there, you can kind of beat it, but then going back is like, it's the weird part. And so to try to combat the jet lag, I thought, I'm going to stream this show on Crunchy and see what it's all about. and I completely fell in love with it. It's family friendly. There's no fan service in it whatsoever. It's educational in a sense that there's these educational segments about the animals that the animal girls in the episode are based on. They actually had conversations with zookeepers around Japan. It's super low budget because it's just like phone calls or something. It's the most adorable post-apocalypse ever. There are 3 tenets to it. I think it's help others, be kind to others, be kind to yourself. It came into my people say, oh, this story really changed me. This story really got me through something. This show came through at the right time because it was right after Gearbox's Battleborn was getting kind of like steamrolled by Overwatch. That was the first like really big thing that I landed through them, and it was kind of like I was suffering some super bad imposter syndrome at the time. And here's this show. I don't know if it was like me being super tired from the jet lag, but it was like a complete stranger coming up to you and saying, everything is going to be okay. You're doing your best. And it was just, it was the nicest thing I think I've ever seen. It's a sweet show. It's the story behind it was the fact that it's done by a small studio. I think the studio had 10 people and only 5 of which were animators. So the animation is not the highest quality. The backgrounds are beautiful. The music's fun. My favorite thing, and I love telling this story, even though the entire cast is female, because it is based on a mobile game with, collectible animal girls that were based on real animals, right?
Right.
I got to dub the anime in one of the educational segments. I dubbed the brown bear segment. I got to be one of the zookeepers, but I'm labeled as Jim Foronda, kimono friends enthusiast. Boy, howdy, I am. But here's the super cool part. When I got the request for the show, it said, hey, can he bring his brother? And when I thought, and then I look, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is Kimono Friends. They want my brother because he's a marine biologist. He works at the National Aquarium. I told him about it, and I was talking to Marissa about, do you need any other like educational people? Because, my wife works at the museum. A lot of people she knows work at the zoo as well. Maybe I can help round up some folks. And so this one night, I dubbed my segment. My brother is there. He had some Southwest miles. He flew in to spend the week with us just, for a vacation and to do this. My wife is in the show. Some of her friends from work. And it was super special because, 2 people I really love, my brother, my wife, they got to experience what I do. And in my favorite, nice, happy, family-friendly anime. And it was just, it was very special. And it was like, and she's in the booth and I'm like, freaking cry in front of everybody. It was just, it's really special about that. It was, so. There. Yeah. That's the Kimono Friends segment. I got to
No, I love that. I love that. That's incredibly wholesome. Now, how do we follow that up?
So, we'll probably keep it anime related. If you were to have a quirk or superpower, for anybody that doesn't know what a quirk is, what would it be and why?
You're picking the easy ones, aren't you? Oh my gosh. This is the kind of thing where it's like if you had quirk, if I could have anticipated this, I could have actually thought about it. Because
you didn't send him a question list.
What? I'd like flight, I'd like invisibility, but then the quirks.
There's always a catch to them half the time, or something that keeps them from being completely broken.
Clever, though it's just like
right. Like I make things get bigger and get smaller. I need
to eat and I can make stuff. It's that is a tough one.
Yeah, see, that's why we like asking quirk, because that's completely just opened the floodgates to anything.
Oh gosh. Can you edit out about an hour while I think about this? Okay. Something off the top of my head. Heal stuff? I was thinking, what would I like to change about myself? I'd like to not be a diabetic anymore.
Do you have to kiss the person like the nurse in My Hero Academia?
You know what? There's no ulterior motive pretext to it. That'd be okay. I mean, it's like if you could do that, because I've been a type 1 diabetic since '83, since I was like 9 years old, and that has sucked. Even though technology's gotten better, I always tell people I'm a cyborg now. Because by medical definition, I'm a cyborg because I wear an insulin pump and I've got one of these, the glucose monitor.
Oh, okay.
So that's as RoboCop as I'm going to get, right? But it's just it's a disease that sucks. The one positive thing is that I got vaccinated before anybody else. I mean, it's I fell into that. Get vaccinated. You have a 1 in 10 chance of dying with COVID. You should get it. And I'm like, yeah, I'd like to get out of the house. So yeah, healing. That's a good one. Yeah. I'm gonna think of a million cooler things after this podcast is over, and I'll be like, yeah.
It's all right. Just jump in front of the camera, talk them out, and then email them over. We'll splice you in.
So, in keeping slightly in line with, other worlds and like having powers and stuff, if you could isekai yourself into any world, any universe, doesn't have to be something you've been part of. It could be, realistic, cartoonish, doesn't matter.
Okay. Off the top of my head, and again, I'll probably think of other things, but there's I can't remember the actor that put it up there, but they said, I realized, blank movie is an isekai. Tron is an isekai.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun place to go to.
Tron would be pretty fun to go to.
Mine always, and I stand by Pokemon. You can't die. I mean, I've seen some pretty horrible stuff happen to Jesse and James. You can't die. Any idiot can have Pokemon. You don't have to be smart or talented. Ash proves that many times. And you can pretty much stay anywhere and eat for free at any point in time. Like there doesn't seem to be poverty there.
And your feet never get tired.
Feet never get tired.
Yeah.
Free healthcare.
I mean, because the last thing I want is to be like isekai'd into Dragon Ball Z, but have no powers. Or
you're just a human in the city.
Be able to use the Force. And
you go to Dragon Ball Z and you're one of the big characters that I voiced. Dude, like the ramen chef.
I'd be thing, or one of the
movie director, whatever.
One of the ones where that city over there just blew up, and I was in that city, and I'm like, man.
Guess we get to try again.
I see their parachutes. if you're like the original Dragon Ball when it came out, then everybody's okay.
Right.
Speaking of changing things for American audiences, nobody dies. There's no violence.
I always I loved the Avatar: The Last Airbender, but they're pretty naive because they're like, well, nobody dies. I'm like, you just took down an entire army. There are wars happening all over the place. POWs. You talk about people getting killed and people dying, but you expect me to believe that nobody ever dies? Come on now.
That's how way kids advertising is. It's growing up with G.I. Joe. Every time a Cobra plane would blow up, there's a parachute, because that was when the government was like, children are going to get warped by this. These hour-long TV commercials. I used to write toy commercials for Hasbro. That was I was an advertising copywriter, ACD, for like.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I wrote commercials for Hasbro from 2001 to 2013 when I got laid off, and that's how I got into voice acting. So it's I was really close to that for a long time after growing up with all that stuff as a kid. So it's interesting, just the hoops you have to go through for kids stuff.
I know, just the stuff you can do and say in advertising has gotten smaller and smaller, especially towards kids. The stuff you're allowed to target.
Oh man, half the stuff that we grew up with would not fly today at all.
But it's funny because when we started doing TV ads for them, we got like this whole. It was like, I think maybe 8 sheets of paper printed, like typewritten both sides, of all the rules of children's advertising. Something that started out in the late 70s was you have to say you can. It's not transform Optimus Prime from a truck into a robot. You have to say you can transform Optimus Prime from a truck into, because if you just say transform, they say that children feel like they have to. They don't have a choice. They have to do it. So that's why you'll see in commercials, you can do this, you can do that. One of the weird ones was when we do a Nerf spot, 2 out of every 5 darts have to miss, because we cannot imply that you will hit every target all the time.
Really? Because Budweiser implied that I'll get babes every time I drink a beer. Like,
but that's for adults. Adults know that's pretend. It's the legal department. Boy, they were just on us. Do you remember the Transformers Armada toys?
Yeah.
It was Armada and Energon. They had the light piping technology where it's the clear plastic on the top of the head.
Yeah.
And then it goes through the eyes. So when light hits the top of the toy, the eyes glow. And so we have a scene where it was a close-up, I think it was whatever, because they would change the names. I think it was Tidal Wave, and it's close up of the robot, eyes are glowing. And then the legal department said, you have to show hand activation for the eyes to glow. And we had to say, we can't show that. It was outside. We had to show a kid pressing a button to turn on the sun. And the brand managers were able to go back and show them the toy. This is how this works. This does not require anything other than light, which they're already outside. And so that was one of the things we were able to get past. It was kids advertising was weird. It was like everything was a landmine. You put something in the spot. We'd send scripts and they'd say, well, this is okay, but you got to make sure that you show the kid actually doing the thing. And
oh man, that
was a fun job. About halfway through, there was like a change in like the head of marketing, and it became not fun. The guy came from like a not toy business, and I don't know. We just kind of started churning things out. We'd write scripts, and then the client would just basically rewrite the entire scripts for us.
Oh yeah,
and it was like, and our account service team, they'd try to push back on it, and it was just like no. And so our commercials got worse and worse over the course of time. Some cool ones would still come through, but it was just, if it was like it was a cool client, they'd be like, oh hell yeah. And then other times it was just, no, do this, and then okay.
Whatever you say, you're the one paying.
Realize,
yeah, it's fun because there's still cool people there, and the last time I went to San Diego Comic-Con, it was years after the layoff, and it was fun because at the booth we still recognized each other. It's like, hey, how's it going? What are you doing here? Oh, I'm a voice actor now. Oh, it was good to catch up with it was good to catch up with the cool folks. Yeah,
right.
I do miss that. I miss a lot of that stuff. Anyway,
no doubt.
That's again derailed talking about toys. I'm sorry.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. That's what we do.
We talked about some of your like favorite jobs. What's the worst job you've ever had in your life?
The worst job I ever had in my life. In high school, I worked for my girlfriend's dad's janitorial company.
Oh,
cleaning office spaces and stuff like that, emptying trash, and everything like that. It was, it was work. I loved my father-in-law. I married my high school sweetheart, so yeah, he was my father-in-law. But yeah, it's like I was working at a video store, and I got let go there because they closed down when Blockbuster moved into town. And so I was trying to find work, and he's like, you could come work for me. I'm like, okay, that'd be great because I'd like to have spending cash so, your daughter and I can go out on dates. So, and it worked with him up until I graduated school and we went to college. So
I ask this question every time because I'm at this point, it just fascinates me, the answers we get. And it's, do you like the sound of your own voice?
My own voice?
Yes.
You mean like my natural sounding voice?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. I don't hate it. I never really thought about it. That's like, I don't hate the sound of my own voice. I'm kind of indifferent because I've just grown up with it, I guess.
Oh man, see, because as a musician, like I ended up being the front man for the band I was in because there was nobody else that could sing in the group. And but every time we recorded, I hated the way it sounded. I hated the sound of my voice. And I grew for years now. I'm like, I just don't even like the sound of my voice. Other people think it's fine. Other people like it, but I don't. And so I started asking voice actors. I mean, you guys are hearing it every day. Do you like yours? Because I hate what I do. And we've gotten just a bunch of different reactions to that question.
I think you're the first person to actually say, yeah, I like my voice.
No, we've had a few that like it, and a couple say, I like it because it makes me money. And
maybe that's why. I mean, maybe, not because it makes me money. I mean, that's nice. I mean, you like having a job. But I never really thought about my own natural voice sound, because the kind of niche that I put myself in is character voice, being able to change the sound of my voice. Unfortunately, it's kind of like I kind of pigeonholed myself in that for a long time,
Right.
And then every so often, like somebody will cast me as like a normal human being, and I would be like, I got a role, and it's a love story, that type of thing, haven't had a love story yet. Almost. The first time I got a human role in recent history was in the anime Sakura Quest, and Caitlin Glass cast me as Tatsuo's woodcarver, and
nice.
There were these hints of his character having the beginnings of a relationship with Elizabeth Maxwell's character Sanae, right? And I thought, I can act in a romance here, and it never resolves. It's it's over. But it's slowly but surely, with the advent of recording from home, and I've been doing more anime with a lot of human characters now, and it's great. But I still do a lot of, hey, we need you to be like these 20 people across these 5 episodes, because again, when I was joking around about Super in Dragon Ball Super, I am sprinkled all over that show, and everybody sounds different, and it's kind of fun, because I'm the talking pig in the Dr. Slump homage, and I'm the movie director, and I'm the little emperor guy, the king of the galaxy guy.
Xeno
fights Xeno. Yeah, I'm Xeno's guards, the tall, skinny beanpole looking.
Oh, okay.
I'm and more. I'm all over that show, because that director knows I know who can do this, and so one of my favorite comments from anybody was when Battleborn came out. I had 2 characters, Oscar Mike, who was he was a clone soldier, and he sounded like this. And then there was Isaac, who was a sociopathic AI who had only one tone of voice, and he was always so happy. He was saying the worst things in this friendly commercial voice, and so we did a trailer with those 2 characters together. And there was a tweet once the game came out that said, you might want to bleep this. Oscar Mike and Isaac are the same voice actor. Are you shitting me right now?
Bleep.
Yeah, it's
that was our bleep effect.
Okay, that's fine.
We curse all the time. It's fine.
And that is one of my favorite tweets ever, because I thought that means I did my job right. If people don't know, that it's the same
Hell
person.
Yeah. I'm sure for most voice actors, it's honestly a happier moment when people don't recognize it's you versus them being like, oh, well, it's this guy again.
Yeah, that's the catch-22 of being a voice actor.
Following in line with that, if you had to get stuck in a voice that's not your own, so a character you've done, and mind you, you have to take on all their inflections. So if you choose Claptrap, you've got to talk like Claptrap.
Well, I think maybe it would have to be maybe Marco from Gunslinger Girl. That was one of the first characters I got, and well, the thing is it was one of my very early shows, and I was really proud of it when it came out. But if I go back and I watch it, I thought, wow, I am terrible in that.
I love Gunslinger Girl, though. It was one of my favorites.
I love but Marco is in a much lower range, and it was the first time I got like a serious role. I'd only been like murder victims or villains in Case Closed and stuff like that up until then. And I look back on it and I thought, I wish I could go back and just record this, because you're always growing as an actor. I fall in that school of thought where you are always learning. If you ever think you're the best at something, that's probably when you need to learn more. Because it's nice though, because I like to think that I can see the growth as an actor from that. I was doing my best. I really was. Golly, it's been a long time since Gunslinger Girl, but I've learned a lot, and I think my craft has become better since then.
I'll be honest. Like, you go through her credits lists, and there's a lot of voice actors where you can recognize when they're what show they're on, what characters they play. I couldn't for yours. Like, you've strung along this list of characters where I'm like, I didn't realize that was all the same fucking person.
Wow. Well, thank you. So, that makes me feel really good. That's like one of the nicest things I've ever heard.
Yeah, I was looking through and, looking through with Reincarnated as a slime, with you as Geld, and then Claptrap, and then going through all this.
My Hero Academia. That's playing a big ass muscular dude.
Yeah.
What kind of got you started into manga and anime?
Oh gosh. Well, growing up, there was late '70s, early '80s. You had Speed Racer reruns, and
Right.
There was live action Ultraman. But when I was in school and working at the game store, there was a friend who had like just a ton of bootleg videotape anime. And
Yes,
those are the best.
yeah, and there was an old video game magazine that we used to sell at the store called Die Hard Game Fan, and there was like a whole thing on Japanese cartoons and stuff like that all looked really cool. And a friend, the same friend, loaned me his like copy of a copy of a copy of Akira. And I remember watching that.
Oh yeah!
Wow, this is nuts! And so that's when that all started.
I'm still waiting for that Akira is in that live action limbo right now, where everybody's trying to get something made with it, and nobody is succeeding.
See, I don't know that I want them to, but at the same time, with the advancements in CG and everything, it would be absolutely bonkers if they did it right.
Here's the thing. Everything about Cowboy Bebop looked great.
Yes.
Seeing everything. And then for me, I think the performances, they were directed in that style. Stylistically, I saw what they were going for the performances, but for me, the editing was very slow. The pacing seemed very off. That very first scene with Spike and Faye, that fight scene, it was, they're throwing a punch and it just kind of holds on that. It seemed like a very slow fight scene.
That's what I was saying is you can almost watch like the rhythm where they practiced it to a count, to a beat or something.
Yeah.
And felt like it was do this, do that, do this, do that. And I'm sure you listened to our podcast when we did our review of it. So I'm sure you already know what I'm about to say. No, I felt like the writing, it suffered from writing, and they brought in a bunch of people who just weren't hardcore fans, who probably didn't understand as much to write and produce it. And I mean, I thought the acting was good. Jet Black was spot on.
Yeah, Jet Black was easily the best.
When you think about Bebop, I mean, can you imagine the stress of, well, should we do it 1-to-1 for the show? Well, people are going to say, you copied the show. Maybe we should try something different.
So what else outside of anime and stuff do you geek out for?
Oh, gosh.
In video games, is there anything that really...
Lego's a big thing. Lego is a big thing for me. Lego's expensive, and there's not that much room for it. So
I think I got my son the Lego, the Batmobile from the new movie. And he
the new
just
one?
built it for me, yeah.
Have you seen the Tumblr, the one, the Dark Knight Batmobile set? It's nice. It's I was thinking about getting that, but that big ass time machine, DeLorean time machine. It's going to be the largest Lego set I've purchased in a while. So there's a thing I do. Because I do a lot of bit characters. A lot of my characters never got merch. The first time I ever got a Funko Pop was for Borderlands 3 with Claptrap, right? So
nice.
For funsies, there is this digital brick building site called Mecha Bricks.
Yeah.
And you can use and you can export it to Blender and you can render stuff out in Blender. And I thought, I'm going to build my own merch for my characters that never got merch. And It kind of became a thing on Twitter. People liked it, so I started doing more. And when I went to my first convention, again, voice actor since 2002, 2003, first convention was because I was Claptrap in 2019. And I thought I need to make a print. So I just did an art print of little Lego Claptrap, in that short squat style.
Yeah.
And so I just keep doing more of those. I'm doing one now for Wonderlands because I just signed up for Streamily, so I'm excited about that.
Nice.
Haven't done that yet, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, real Lego, digital Lego, having worked with toys for like very closely to the toy industry for Hasbro for so long.
Yeah.
I got kind of burnt out on certain things. Yeah, like I used to love Transformers, but it's kind of like I liken it to you hear stories, Grandpa, my pappy saw me smoking a cigarette, so he locked me in a closet with 2 packs of cigarettes, and I had to smoke them all before he let me out. That's what happened to me with working on Hasbro.
Well, I hate it when places I work for lock me in a closet and make me smoke cigarettes, but sometimes that's the only
it was the one Transformers product I've purchased since working for them was Devastation on the PS4, which was a great game.
Yeah, Devastation was really fun.
It's weird. It's like toys are different for me now, but I started collecting Nendoroids. Those are fun.
Mm-hmm.
The
little chibi statues.
Yeah, those are fun. I kept telling merchandising at Gearbox, I'm like, wouldn't it be great if Claptrap had a Nendoroid? It'd be so awesome, wouldn't it? So I don't know if they're. I keep. I always drop hints, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. But I mean, it's like they're Overwatch Nendoroids, right? But it could be Nendoroid.
I've got 4. I think just the 4 Claptrap Funko Pops. I've got like the solid gold one that came in the mystery boxes years ago.
Yeah.
The Gentleman Claptrap, the blue one. And
I really hope they do his steam powered version from Wonderlands. I didn't know what he looked like until they did the gameplay reveals a few weeks ago.
Oh wow!
Which is why, because I didn't know what he was going to appear like. Because I thought I'm going to get ready with an artwork for this thing for whenever. But then when I saw the Japanese cover and I saw Brick, saw the Punch Father with his fairy wings and his little fairy skirt, and I thought Claptrap's going to look different, and I did not see what he looked like until they showed the forgery mission on YouTube, and I thought, ooh, I need to get cracking on that. Yeah, so video games, yay. Lego. I like going on hikes. I like wildlife. I like old board games. I like board games, but I really like old board games that are weird abstract board games that came out in the 70s with weird geometric shaped pieces that there's fun stuff. It's I sound really boring.
No. I've got shelves of board games downstairs. My wife and I, the metro parks around here, they do like hike-a-thons, so we do that. Cool. So along with you there.
Did you ever play any card games?
Ooh, before Hasbro, I was a writer on Pizza Hut, and really? I ended up flying out from. I was laid off from my first job out of school, advertising in Florida. And then one of the guys who freelanced there actually got a job out here. And I flew out to work on Pizza Hut because they were doing the Star Wars Episode 1 stuff. And he knew that I was a Star Wars fan. And so he thought, would you like to come out? So that's why I'm in Texas now. But in the early days of Pokemon, I remember we were trying to come up with like promotional ideas for Pizza Hut. And the Pokemon movie was coming out. Pokemon was just starting to be really big. And the account service person, she was actually used to work for Nintendo's ad agency. And so she had a lot of friends at Nintendo. And I had this idea of like little, cheaply made Pokemon, like all 150 of them, right? And you would get like 10 in a little packet whenever you bought a pizza. You'd have to collect them all by getting like 15 pizzas over the course of the promotion. But if you would find like the special Silver Mew, you would win the grand prize to either, go see the premiere of the movie or go visit Nintendo in Seattle, that type of thing. So the creative director at the time, he wasn't that knowledgeable about like the gaming industry
things.
He looked at it as he's like no, the Pokemon is a failure, it's a flop. You saw what happened to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah, it's a flop. No, they were stuck with all those the plushies. And which it was because they introduced Pokemon at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and the game had not come out yet. It was when the show had come out first.
Mm-hmm.
The card game wasn't out. Game Boy game had not come out yet, and that promotion tanked. Oh, you were asking about card games. Okay, that's how I got here. So, doing research for this possible Pokemon tie-in, which never happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, it would have been cool as shit. My favorite things in the world: pizza and Pokemon.
Yeah. But it was like, do some research here, buy some of this card game and expense it. So I bought a starter set. I bought some booster packs. My wife and I played it, loved it. I'm like, this is a really deep game. Fun fact, it was right when the card game came out, and the first booster pack I opened up in the Target parking lot, there was a holofoil Charizard in there. I still have it.
Oh, wow.
It's been played with. It's been shuffled. It's been, and it's like, oh, it's definitely not in mint condition anymore. Is it still worth $11 billion?
It's still worth quite a bit, even in played condition.
It's in storage in this closet over here, underneath probably tons of stuff in the little.
See, I remember we pulled like my older brother, younger sister, and I like we would get packs and stuff all the time, and I remember we pulled a first edition Charizard. And then I'm positive later on, like my parents either just like sold the collection, got rid of it, threw it out or something. And then over the last few years, every time I hear about the Charizard being so expensive or it's selling for even more, I'm just like,
just sad song in the background.
oh,
See, I didn't get many cool pulls. But my wife kept all of hers in mint condition because she's like anal retentive in the sleeves, in a book, never touched, set aside. So we got some cool ones. But we got back into, because doing this podcast, we did a series on cards. So
card games and stuff.
Came on and started playing a little Magic the Gathering, and we always played the like Yu-Gi-Oh video games and stuff. But it's a really different atmosphere going down to a card store and just hanging out with a bunch of nerds they're really good at these fucking games, man. Like I can't keep up on all the info like I used to be able to. I don't know, maybe I'm just mismanaging my time or trying to spread myself out too thin, but I'm like, all the different, they know every in and out of every fucking card, and I know all the ins and outs of a bunch of musicians and tours.
This deck build is amazing.
I'm like,
unbeatable.
Did you know Ben Folds went to college for music and then dropped out when he only had one semester left to complete because he broke his drum hand, and so he couldn't do the final exams? I guess Pokemon cards is cooler.
Yeah, we all have like our niche things that we love, and it's and we just know a lot. I kind of like an information sponge. Like I'll remember just weird facts and stuff like that about whatever. And it's
you just won't remember specific names when you need to.
Yeah, exactly. It's there was an article in a magazine that said that there are some brain types where basically they start, like storage brains, that function will start to cannibalize parts of the brain used for short-term memory to store more information. And I thought, that explains a lot. I wish I could remember. I should Google that and see if that article, like
whether
studies,
whether it's true or not, I'm going to take that excuse.
Yeah, I need to find that. That's golly, I haven't thought about that in a long time. I have to look that up because that would be a really interesting, like, scientific study paper to read. Yeah, everything, like my schedule, everything is on my phone because if I will forget everything.
Yeah,
today it was reminder. You have a podcast today. So I had to figure out because I don't really do much stuff on camera. So I thought, okay, where do I put the camera? I've got the camera here I got over the pandemic to play D&D with friends. And
hey, perfect reason.
Yeah. So it's like, this is the first time I fired it up since we started playing in person again. I thought I should probably tidy things up. I thought shelves look okay. My blankie fort. I can't take credit for that. Kieran Strange, voice of Lorelei, he introduced the term blankie fort for his booth, and it's like I'm proud of my blankie fort. It's not a fancy pants booth, but I can scream and yell in there without any reverb, so it works.
Right.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
I do hate to cut this. My wife is going to be home soon with my son, and he got in trouble, so I got to go do dad things.
Yeah, that's the part of the two dads and the podcast.
Yeah.
I had a good time with y'all. This is I wish we could stay on longer. A 5-hour podcast.
I mean, we usually cut it down, cut out some bits, because most people don't listen to 2-hour podcasts. But
that's just me, I guess.
Yeah. Jim, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a couple hours. If we get bored or you get bored, reach out. We could do this again. This was super fun.
We didn't even start talking about video games. Damn.
I mean, we started talking about video games.
Yeah, we started
finished talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hey, I could keep going for hours too, but my wife would probably get mad.
Yeah, I don't want you to get in trouble.
So
We'll do this again soon, for sure.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Felix, and you've been listening to the Two Dads at a Podcast interview series. For more content, like and subscribe to this channel. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitch, and everywhere podcasts are available. To help us bring you more of these amazing interviews, you can support us on our Patreon. Just follow the links below, and thanks for watching.